Hello, Unlimited friends. Today we are going to talk about the different dimensions. The fifth dimension specifically because this is a question that was asked by Amber on my channel, and here I am with the response. So in this video we are going to talk about what are the different dimensions, which one is more preferable, and how do you get there. Hi, I'm ZMAHOON from ZMAHOON.com. I am the author of 12 different books on the subject of law of attraction. And this channel is supposed to bring you the answers and the information that you need in order to use law of attraction to create an unlimited life. All right, let's get right into it. So, what I want to do is kind of develop a parallel between the various ways in which many teachers are talking about spirituality and what is being called as awakening or a higher state of being. What confuses things is when the word dimension is used, because there's a scientific side to it and a spiritual side to it, and most of us grow up with the scientific side, which is okay, things are one dimensional when they're flat on the paper and you draw a drawing that's one dimensional. If if you make two axes, now you're talking about two-dimensional things. And 3D is the life that we live in is 3D because there's three elements of depth, right? Height, width, and depth, right? So those are the three dimensions. So anything that occupies space, like this empty bottle of Coke, has three dimensions because you can measure the height, you can measure how much it is across, and you can measure how deep it is. So this occupies space, and scientists use this three-dimensional way of explaining to us how matter occupies space. Spirituality is different. In spirituality, there are different planes of consciousness, and consciousness is different from matter occupying space. This air seems like it's empty, but it's not, because it's full of molecules. So nothing is empty in the world. It's all full of something. Whether we can see that or not, that's a totally different thing. But there's no real emptiness in the world at all. And so matter occupies space. And so thought is a form of energy. It is a vibration. Now this energy, whether it's light or sound or thought, when you slow it down, it becomes matter. So it becomes three-dimensional, right? Now, in spirituality, the way the dimensions are used are to say that the higher dimension you're on, the more elevated you are in your consciousness. I look at it now and I equate it with Abraham's teachings of the emotional scale, because what is said is the third dimension, which is about matter, about physical things occupying space, it has a carnal element to it, that the physicality of the world that we live in is what affects our responses to things that are around us, right? So that is the third dimension. The fourth dimension says that, no, wait a second, there's more than just matter, because there is also vibration. So in the fourth dimension, there's recognition of the fact that there is a fourth dimension or there is vibration. And vibration also occupies space, even though you can't see it, right? So when I say occupies space, I mean that it is real, it is tangible, even though we cannot decipher it with our five senses, but we know that it is there. So fourth dimension is the recognition of the thought energy and thought form, right? It is the recognition that our thoughts have an impact, not just our carnal desires, but our thoughts are also important. So that's the fourth dimension. The fifth dimension is the highest level of consciousness where everything is in harmony. So harmony is a test. It's the litmus tests that tells you whether you're on the third dimension, the fourth, or the fifth. Harmony with what? Harmony with the world around you, harmony with yourself, internal harmony and external harmony, harmony with things and people. So if you were on the third dimension, then you are on this dimension, you are not in harmony with everything that's happening. There are things that you like and things that you have a dislike for. You have strong reactions and opinions. When you go to the fourth dimension, you start learning to control your thought energy. You start learning and understanding that there's a thing called the vibe, and that you can feel another person's vibe, and that other people are feeling your vibe, and that with your thoughts you can control the vibe that you send out, and so you can control your environment. So when you're in step 4, you're actually controlling the third dimension. When you're in the fourth dimension, all that means is that you now have the ability to control the third dimension. You've risen above it because you have control over it. In the third dimension, people think that things are happening to them, and they feel that they have no control and there's no harmony. In the fourth dimension, you know that you have control, and you begin exercising control. Here's the kicker. In the fifth dimension, you stop exercising control. Yes. So in the third dimension, you want control, you crave it. In the fourth, you find it. In the fifth, you let it go completely. Because when you get to the fifth dimension, you are in so much harmony with everything. You are in harmony with who you are. You have complete self-worth. You love who you are. You love the world. And you have complete trust and faith in the universe. So you relinquish control. You give it up because you don't need it anymore. That is the fifth dimension. And you get to the fifth dimension by staying more or less in the space of love, where you don't have strong reactions against things. You don't have strong reactions against people or things that are happening in the world. And you certainly don't have strong reactions against yourself. You don't feel guilty. You don't blame yourself. You feel that you are worthy. That is being in the fifth dimension. Now, when I take this, which people have been talking about, and I draw a parallel with the teachings of Abraham, I find that Abraham has a much simpler way of explaining it. Abraham's philosophy of teaching the law of attraction has evolved as well. Abraham teaches a 5-step process of creation or consciousness. So step 1 is giving birth to desires. What is that? That is living life. Step 1, you give birth to desires. Step 2, source answers. Step 3, you allow it in. All of that is third dimensional. When you are practicing these 3 steps, you are in the third dimension. Because you're always practicing it anyway. The fourth dimension happens, or step 4 happens, when you start understanding the power of your thought, and you understand that it's okay to go down the emotional scale because you can always go up, and you can control the outcome by controlling the way you think and feel. So that's the fourth step. Step 5 is nothing phases you. You are able to hold your place steady in a place of love, no bumps. You don't have any strong reactions to anything. You feel love for yourself and for everyone else. It's a place of complete harmony. Abraham calls that step 5. Other people call it the fifth dimension. It's all the same thing. But because Abraham gives it a structure with the law of attraction based on the emotional scale, it makes more sense. Because think about it. When you're at a lower vibration on the emotional scale, that's when you're giving birth, you're having a lot of step 1 moments. You have step 1 moments when you're higher up on the emotional scale. Doesn't mean that you stop wanting things, but you don't feel the need so much to control. You don't feel that your life is going out of control and you need to find a way to control it. So you have more control, and that is getting into the higher levels, staying longer in the higher levels. Abraham calls that the vortex, and the vortex is all the way from the feeling of satisfaction all the way to love and joy. And then those people who constantly are able to stay at a place of love and joy, like for the most part, Buddha is all the history that I've read and all the stories that I've read, Buddha was able to stay. Gautama Buddha was able to stay at that place of love. And there are many people who are able to stay in that space of love most of the time, but nobody stays there all the time. So what I want to dispel is the belief that some people have created out there that once you achieve a dimension, then you stay there. No, you don't, because that would be contrary to having a physical experience. If you stayed in a place of love, if you were vibrating at that level, that is a very high vibration. If you were vibrating at that level, you would not be able to stay in your physical body. You would make your transition to the non-physical, because that is where you stay at that high level of energy, vibration of love all the time. So we during one day can go all the way from step 1 to step 5. And we do that all the time. You see your dog, you feel love for it, you're in step 5 or step 4 at least, right? So I want to urge you not to give this so much of your time and attention, because it's not about understanding what the steps are. All our life is about, and the way we maximize our potential is by always reaching for a higher feeling place and sustaining it for longer and longer and longer periods of time. Staying in the vortex, in that space that is between love and satisfaction. So if I was going to draw the emotional scale, here it is. And 3 dimensions. The third dimension is all of this, but it is about going up and down. So when you are in the third dimension, or you're living life in the third dimension, your life or the way you feel looks kind of like this. Big ups and downs. I want this, I got it, I feel good, and I want something again, and I'm going down the emotional scale. When you graduate from being in the third dimension to being in the fourth dimension, let me pick up a different pen. What happens is you don't get these big swings anymore. You still get swings, but they're not this big swings anymore. You kind of do this. Sometimes you do this, but you come up really quickly and you spend most of your time here in the vortex. And then when you graduate to the fifth dimension, you kind of stay here. You're still going up and down. It's not like you're not, but you're more steady in your vibration and staying up there. That's all there is to it. So all we are reaching for in our human state is to start living life from this place of the green line, where we are not just in the vortex. So this is the vortex, and we are not just in the vortex, we are at the topmost level of the vortex, which means that when someone says hello to you, your heart glows with love for them. When you eat your food, you look at it, you bless it, you enjoy it, you appreciate the colors, and you appreciate the taste, and you appreciate how it looks, and the art, and the person who put it together. You appreciate all of that. So the question I want to ask you is, how much attention do you pay to those things on a day-to-day basis? How much attention do you pay to appreciating those simple little things? That is what all of life is about. So the most important thing is to make appreciation a part of our habit. When we become appreciators, we start living life in the fifth dimension, in step 5. We are in love with ourselves, in love with ourselves, in love with the world, in love with all other humans, not pushing against anything, not having strong negative reactions to things, still giving birth to desires, but not feeling the need to control how those desires will manifest. That, my friends, is step 5. And that, my friends, is living life in the fifth dimension. Because when you are there, and because you are not feeling the lack of anything, then time, how much time things take, has no value, has no meaning to you. You're good with whatever happens. And the best thing is that the field of all possibilities opens up to you from here. From a place of love, all things are possible. From a place of worry, nothing moves. Everything is stuck. And from a place lower down on the emotional scale, life doesn't feel good. So if you're able to spend your day mostly in step 5, where you feel as if every moment is good, and you end the day feeling happy and satisfied, that is what the fifth dimension is all about. That is what step 5 is all about. And that is what this workbook is all about. Because if you were to do this 40-day workout with me and other friends who are part of my mastermind group, all you have to do to become part of the mastermind is purchase the book and send me a receipt for it. But what you will learn in this course of 40 days is how to shift your beliefs and go up the emotional scale, and how to spend more and more time there. So if you're looking for the book, I'm going to post the link below. You can check it out on Amazon. It is available as an audiobook, as a Kindle book, as well as a printed workbook. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you found that useful, and I hope that you will subscribe and come back to watch other videos on my channel. Bye for now.